right, we're gonna get started with a little game. So, I'm loving it. Shout it out.
McDonald's.
The happiest place on earth.
Disneyland.
Eat fresh.
Subway.
Everywhere you want to be. Oh, okay, all right. Visa needs to work a little bit harder on their messaging. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on.
Car insurance.
America runs on. Maybe she's born with it, maybe it's. And that is copywriting. Thank you guys, good night. Okay. But seriously, that is the power of copywriting, except for maybe Visa, which I'm definitely gonna take out of this slide. Oh, there's, okay. Hello? Could someone possibly, Chris, maybe go back there and just, oh, never mind. Okay, good, got it. So copywriting, what is copywriting? You guys just saw it in action. It's messaging that makes you think of a brand. It's messaging that manipulates you, brainwashes you. This is like a time when it's okay to use those words because essentially you're building habits in your audience when you're using good copywriting. Copywriting, and it's not just about putting on the words on a page. It's not just about having words out there and giving information out there. It's about finding a way to get into your target audience's psyche to make them take the action that you want them to take, whether it's reading a blog, whether it's making a sale. This is what copywriting leads you to. Great content is the best sales tool in the world. Chris, would you mind going back there and just like, there we go, okay. So here are types of every slide, just get up and get a little exercise. So the types of copywriting you can use as an entrepreneur, this is kind of a way that I break it down in a very, very basic way because the first thing that people think of when they hear copywriting sometimes is trademarks, patents. I have to get past that and explain that. So in very, very basic terms, copywriting is all of this. All of this falls under copywriting, whether it's the words in your emails, your blogs, your website copy. All of this needs to have clear, concise, consistent messaging, branded messaging. This all needs to be cohesive in order for your ultimate message to get across and for people to do what you want them to do. Oh, that was great. So now we're going to move in a little bit to psychology. That is my great uncle, Ivan Pavlov. If you don't know, who here is familiar with Pavlov? Okay, cool. He's not actually my uncle. If you don't know who he is, go ahead and Google Pavlov's bells. Make sure you don't Google Pavlov's balls, okay? That's a completely different search. My dad gets really embarrassed when that happens. So he studied conditioning. And again, we're building habits in our audience. So we appeal to their psychological triggers with our words in order to get them to do what we want to do. So this is a few things we're going to go through in this section. I'm getting the hang of this. Here we go. So before we can write anything, it's really important to understand your target audience. And you've probably heard a little bit about this throughout the week. But knowing your target audience really is the first step because you could be a hairstylist and you could be a hairstylist and you could be a hairstylist, but that doesn't mean that you all have the same target audience. One of you might work on more mature hair, one of you might work on wild styles, and that changes your messaging. So you need to know who you're talking to before you start talking because I'm sure you guys have heard the saying that if you try to sell to everyone, you're selling to no one. The same thing goes with all of your copy. So don't sell to no one. Sell to very particular people. You want to picture this person. I have an avatar written out about who my target customer is, her name, her age, her hobbies, everything, so that every time that I go to type my social media captions or my blogs or whatever, I'm speaking directly to her, telling her what she wants to hear. She's in my mind. For me, she's a she. It might be a he, it might be a they, it might be a both, but I'm using she because my target audience typically is female. So it helps to create that tailored messaging. It also helps to choose the right marketing channels because not all your people are going to be hanging out in the same place. And with so many different avenues, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, blogs, podcasts, again, with so many different avenues, you don't want to put your efforts into all of them because that you just burn out. You want to focus on one or two where your audience is really hanging out, and hang out there and talk to people there, connect with people. Copywriting, I forgot to mention this, it's also about connection, because you have to connect with your audience in order to get them to trust you. So it's all about connecting. The importance of understanding your target audience, it also helps you to develop more effective products and services. If you know where your audience is hanging out there too and have conversations with them. Copywriting isn't just about the social media captions that you post, it's what you're saying in the comments too. Every time you write a word, that's part of your branded tone. That's how you're talking to people. So go in and talk to them, and this is where you can find out, like, what are some of the problems you're having with so-and-so? You know, what would you like to do better? People used to pay thousands for like market research, and now you have it literally at your fingertips, and all you need to do is start a conversation. It's that easy. It also helps you to differentiate from your competitors. Like I said, with the example with the hairstylist, you might have different audiences, and so it helps you know who to talk to. There we go. So now here's where we get into a little bit of psychology, and I'm going to talk to you about the triggers that we can use. And fear is the first one that we're going to talk about. This essentially is FOMO. So when you get that email that says 24 hours to the sale left, that's a copywriting tool. That's appealing to your fear. You want to make people think that they're going to miss out if they don't buy your product or service. They don't want to miss out. So that is one emotion that you can play to in your copy. Another one is social proof. For an example, Wes all told you guys to be here in an email, and if you had just seen an ad for this essential copywriting for entrepreneurs off the street, I don't think even half of you would be here. But because Wes sent you an email, said, she's an alumni, she's part of the Blox family, she writes the Beta Blox blogs, you guys were like, oh, okay, she's credible, she's legit, and you're here, and you're hopefully taking in what I'm saying and taking it not with a grain of salt, but with a whole bag of it. I don't know what the opposite is. I didn't plan that one out. But social proof, your written testimonials and things like that are really a strong way to tap on people's emotions because it makes them feel safe. Other people have done what they want to do and have gotten the results that they want to get. When you talk about your results in your copy, it's magic because that's what people want to hear. Scarcity is kind of like a cousin to fear. It also kind of plays into the FOMO, you know, hey, I only have one slot left for a copywriting client this month. Who wants my one copywriting slot? You know, play to that emotion too of, oh, I only have a limited supply. When things are in limited supply, like, you know, you ever go to, like Kit Kat has like the birthday cake ones and it's limited supply. You're like, oh, I gotta stock up on it now before they're not here. That's an emotion that you can play to right in your writing. Authority is another really important one. And again, that ties in a little bit to social proof, but there's so many ways to build authority in your writing. And one of those is to build a consistent long form content library so that when someone goes to your site, they're like, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. Wes talked, I think, yesterday about doing deep dives. And that's where your long form content comes in, and that's where people really can see what an authoritative, what an expert figure you are, and that's where a lot of trust comes in. And lastly, we talk about curiosity, which is one of my favorites because it's like not giving them too much, but giving them just enough to pique their interest. This is those clickbaity titles that we're always clicking on, like, here's the 5 things you need to avoid, or whatever it is. But those things work because they make us curious. If you put everything in a title so that no one needs to like open the article and read it, people aren't going to open the article and read it. You want to have headlines or things that pique people's curiosity so that they go in and do a deeper dive. That's what it is. I got to aim it back there. So, has anyone ever heard of the AIDA framework before? Okay, awesome. So there's not many of you who are familiar with this, and I'm really excited to teach it because this is the outline for how you're going to write all your copy in a really psychologically provoking way that gets them to take action. So AIDA stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. Attention. Like I said, before you can go anywhere, you need attention. You need to get eyeballs on you. This is your catchy headline. This is your catchy subject line. This is the first thing that people see is attention grabbing. Grab their attention. Next, we flow into interest, and I also like to call this the pain points, the problem section. This is where we talk about what is ailing them, what is keeping them up at night, the reason that they are suffering, what is going on that is going to make them want to buy your product or service. That is what gets them interested. You know, are you having random headaches throughout the day? Oh, I am. You know, it piques their interest. Focus on the problem in that second part. You have to focus on the problem before you come in with the solution, aka the desire. Now they're aware that they have a problem, they're reading on, and you come in as the solution. You are telling people the results that they can get when they work with you, what the process is like when they work with you, and what they can expect to gain when they work with you or buy your product. And that is where you build this desire. And the interest and desire, they're kind of the meaty portions of your copy. If you want it kind of visual, think of it as a website. So when you go on a website, you have that attention-grabbing headline. Then you kind of go into the language that's piquing people's interest about their problems. And then you're like, hey, we got you. Here's your solution. Here's where you make people want what you have. And lastly, and probably the most importantly, is your call to action. Unless you're doing a value post, there has to be a call to action. Otherwise, people aren't going to know what to do. People are naturally lazy. Some of them are kind of dumb. Some of them you have to hold their hands on how to get there. People don't want to do extra work. So you have to tell them how to get the thing that they want that you can provide for them. Whether that's emailing you, booking a call, there has to be a call to action. Otherwise, it's just something for them to read. And again, if that's a value post, we already talked about that, that is okay. But on a website, on an email, something like that, you gotta have a call to action. Okay. My finger is getting such a good workout, you guys. I'm so happy right now. So now we're going to get into some copywriting best practices. And that's how we want our readers to look when they're reading our copy. We want them to be like, yay, I'm so excited to read this. This is fun to read. This is valuable to read. We want them to be excited. We don't want them to be like, oh my God, another email from Jill. Delete. So I'm going to give you some best practices for 3 major areas of copywriting. All right, get your stiletto in the door with subject lines. I also want to note how I could have titled that subject line best practices, but I chose to title it Get Your Stiletto in the Door with Subject Lines. And you'll see 2 things. 1, that makes it a lot more interesting, and 2, it's super branded for who I am. So your copy is a way to also have fun and let your audience have fun too. Aren't you guys having so much fun? Okay, thank you. Thank you for not being completely silent. Okay, so subject lines, clear and concise. This is number 1. You don't want to have a whole sentence structure in your subject lines. 4 to 7 words is ideal, absolutely no more than 9. It's going to cut it off. There's no point. And your most important word needs to go first. If my client is having a sale, I will find the best way to put a word about the sale first thing in that subject line. Because again, people have short attention spans. People are getting so many things in their inbox. I wake up to like 50 emails in my still going AOL account every single morning. And delete, 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 unless I see something that catches my eye. That's like one of my morning rituals. As I'm waking up and like trying to wake up, I go through my subject lines and see what catches my eye, because not a lot of them do, but when they do, I take note. Relevance. The subject line needs to be relevant. You know, don't be tricking people like, hey, free stuff inside, and there's no free stuff inside. That's a really easy way to lose subscribers. So make sure it's relevant. You also want to highlight the benefits. What can they gain by opening this email? open this email for a free blank, tips inside this email. Like, I want to know what I'm getting into before I open the email. Ask questions. Questions are a really great email line, like, do you want this? Or are you struggling with this? Because again, questions open a conversation. It's not just you talking at someone, it's you opening up a conversation, asking a question. And lastly, A/B testing. A/B testing means that you're going to try two or three different subject lines to see which ones are performing better. Most of your email platforms do have that option where you can go in and schedule half of your people to receive this subject line, half of your people to receive this subject line, and that's a way to see which one's responding better. And over time, you'll get that data and you'll see what your customers like. Maybe they really are into the question ones. Maybe the FOMO ones that you're using are really, really effective. Copywriting does have a lot to do with data. You want to track how your posts, how your emails, how your blogs, how your websites are performing, and you tweak your copy according to that. Everything in marketing and in branding, it's a journey, it's trial and error, and A/B testing. And you can do this with websites too. If e-commerce websites it's very popular to do that. I'm specifically saying it for subject lines, but you can A/B test with everything and just see what's really working the best. Email marketing best practices. So I'm just going to grab some water. Okay, build a quality email list and don't overstay your inbox welcome. This goes back again to our target audience. You don't need to have 10 million people on your email list if only 1,000 of them are your target audience and the people who are going to buy for you. What's the point? They're probably just deleting it anyway. No one's going to be impressed by how many people are on your email list. No one cares. It's all about having a quality email list. And when I say don't overstay your inbox welcome, find out how many times a week your people want to be emailed. Like I do my email newsletters every 2 weeks because I don't think my people want to hear from me every week. They definitely don't need to hear from me every day. No one wants copywriting tips every day. No one wants me in their email inbox. I like to keep them wanting more. I think it's better to keep them wanting more than to have them want less. And God forbid hit that unsubscribe button. Because once they hit that unsubscribe button, they are not coming back. So when they give you their email, like, do not abuse it. And again, that number is going to be, there's not a set number of how many emails you should send out a week. It's going to be different for everyone. Some people might be able to get away with daily emails. I sign up for the Skim, which sends me like emails about what's going on in the news every day. I like that. Again, it's about finding your people, finding their rhythm, and being consistent with it. I'm not ready to do that. Put yourself in their shoes. We're talking about shoes again. We love that. Would I enjoy reading this? Does this add value to my life? Every time I write an email, I try to write it for me, because I'm also my target audience too, and that kind of helps. And some of you are your own target audience, which definitely makes it a little bit easier. But every time I'm writing an email or writing a social media post, I'm like, would I pay attention to this? Would this add value to my life? Would I be like, oh, this is stupid, and scroll on? I really don't think about what I want to say. I think about what they want to hear. Optimize for mobile users, super important. You have to remember that most people are reading emails on their phones these days, on the go. So make sure that it looks good. Most email platforms will give you an option to see what it looks like on a desktop as well as a mobile. So make sure that everything looks good, your copy and your graphics. Consistency, you'll hear me say that word a lot, and it's just so important. And again, tracking key metrics, open rates, which means how many people opened it, click-through rates, which means how many people clicked on the links that you have on there, and conversion rates, which means how many people bought from you based on that email. And you're not going to get these metrics like right away to mean something. Obviously, you have to. Did I go back too far? All right. So SEO blogging, one of the things that I mainly write for a lot of my clients are blogs, because A, we want people to get that deep dive, but also it's really good for those of you who are looking to up your SEO game. I'm not going to do a deep dive into SEO because I'm not an SEO expert, but I do know SEO as it relates to copywriting, and it is a dense topic. So I'm gonna do what I can with it. So we want to make sure we're crafting attention-grabbing headlines. Once again, that's that A part of AIDA, attention. But the important thing for SEO blogs when it comes to headlines is that's what pulls people in from what they're searching for. So if you have, I'm going to use hairstyling again. If you have a hairstyling business and it's the summer, you might want to write a blog that are like, what are the best summer hairstyles? Because me as a user, that might be what I put into a Google search. What are the best summer hairstyles? And then your blog comes up. So you want your headline to align with the SEO keyword that you are trying to rank for. Aim to answer all of those potential questions, all the questions that people would have underneath that summer hairstyles. Where can I find these products? How can I do that? Make sure to answer all those questions and answer them in your, pose those questions in your subheadings, because again, Google's ranking for them. The headings and the way you format a blog, it's so important if you're looking to rank for SEO, how you format it and how you use copy in those headlines and subheadlines. You also want to include relevant internal and external links. Not external, just internal links, because when you backlink on your website, it's a way for people to get to other pages. So maybe you pull them in from blog A and you want to get them to a sales page. Link it in your blog where it is relevant to get them to go to the page that you really want them to go to. Does that make sense? Okay, all right. I'm saying it and I'm like half making sense to myself because I still haven't had coffee yet, so I just want to make sure everyone's getting it. And I will have questions at the end. Organize your content, clear structure. Like I said, the headings, the subheadings, those are important for SEO, but bullet points and photos are important to the reader because that's what breaks it up to the eye. That's what keeps people from, it is so intimidating to open up an article that's just like a block of text. I'm like, oh, I don't want to read that. If it's broken up with interesting pictures, if it's formatted, I love to read bullet points. I'm a Cliff Notes kind of gal. Give me the bullet points. If you can bullet point things out and lists, I didn't mention this on here, but lists are one of the best ways to blog because those get the most SEO results. And for me, I personally love reading lists more than anything else, and I think they're easier to write than anything else. So lists are great no matter what business you're in. You can come up with a list for a blog. And reshare and repurpose. We do this with all our content. You know, it's always about work smarter, work harder. So if you write a blog that's really great, break it up into different social media posts. Pull and repurpose here. Break it up into, put it in your emails. You know, you don't have to write copy and only use it once. I have a content bank that I keep some of my most used copy, some of my favorite copy, because your people now, the people who knew me a year ago, the people who know me now, they might not have known me a year ago. So I can repost something from a year ago if it's relevant. That's why it's great to have evergreen content, a bank of evergreen content that always applies, that you can keep resharing. So some blogs are always going to remain relevant, and you could have written it 5 years ago and just share snippets from it today. It's a little bit of a cheat code. Web copy best practices. So you want to play to your target audience's needs, preferences, and pain points. The most important thing I can tell you is that it's not about you. And like, I see you guys getting up on the stage every night. I know that we're stage hogs. We want it to be about us. But you have to remember it's about your customer. It's about your client because they don't care about you. They care about how you can help them, but they don't really care about you. So your website needs to reflect that. It needs to be speaking to them. Clearly articulate the unique value that you provide. All of your USPs should be featured on your homepage. Why are they choosing hairstylist A over hairstylist B? Why are they choosing your insurance company over this insurance company? What makes you different? That needs to be front and center.
What is USP?
Unique selling proposition.
Thank you.
Avoid I need to take my own advice on this one. Avoid unnecessary jargon like USP or complex language that might give. But do you see what happens? If he hadn't raised his hand, he would have completely missed that point. And that's on me because I should have spelled it out and I should have made it clearer. But if you don't make it clear for your audience, guess what? They are one click away from your competitor. You're not there in their face saying, no, 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 pick me. Your website's your digital storefront. It's all you have sometimes to convince someone to work with you or to buy from you. So you have to be clear, or again, he might have just gone to a different presentation if he, you know, he might have gotten right up and walked out the door if I hadn't explained that. But seriously, you never know. Don't take for granted what you think other people know as well. It's a really important point. I always start off copywriting by saying, I don't do trademarks, I don't do patents, because I've learned that not everyone even knows what copywriting is. Be clear and don't use jargon. Your website copy should flow and tell a story. I love my website, which was created by Blox, and they actually taught me a lot about my own copy while I worked with them, and I love it because I have this attention-grabbing headline. I think actually I'm going to put it into the future slides to show people, but attention-grabbing headline, and then I talk about all the pain points that my specific customer has, which is, are you frustrated with not being able to get audiences, with not being able to get eyes on you? And then I take them through the story of like, here's how working with me will help. You have to tell the story, and this is straight from building a story brand, which if you've been in my pod and had Peter, he's probably mentioned it. He loves this book, and he told me to read it, and it changed the way I approach my copy. And basically, your customer is the hero. You're not the hero. You're just their guide. So you need to be writing everything in that way and framing them as the hero with you as the person who comes in and helps them, because this is their story, it's not yours. And that's how they have to feel when they come to your website. They have to feel like this is their story. And again, post clear and strategic CTAs or call to actions, if I had to write it out, throughout your copy, because again, if they don't have a way to take action, they're not going to spend time figuring out how. They're just going to move on to someone else. You know, if I'm looking to book a nail appointment real quickly, sometimes I book based on who's easiest to book online. You know, that's just how it is. So make things easy for them. And lastly, my favorite slide, dare to be different. And I could teach a whole course on how to stand out, because it is so important. We all want to think that we are special, and you are, but no one is going to know it unless you make a point. I used to think people would like discover all this stuff inside of me. People are busy. They don't have time for that. You need to show them why you are different and why you are special. So think outside of the box, jump 100 more feet outside of that, and do something that, take a chance and see if it works. There's no wrong in copywriting. There's no wrong in marketing, you know, other than like offending people. Don't go to that end, but like try things. I love to look at disruptors in other industries as well. Sometimes I'll take things from them. I have a friend, he's a real estate agent, and his videos are so funny. They're snarky. He's like, oh, this house sucks. Look at this giant pool. Who would want to go in there? And it's like, no one's doing that. No one's going in and like trash talking, but not really trash talking the house. And he stands out because of that. So I think, okay, how can I do something like that in copywriting? You know, look at disruptors in your industry as well as disruptors in other industries, and how are they standing out? Surprise and delight is the cousin to above and beyond. So we always want to go above and beyond with our customers, but let's also surprise and delight them. Let's give them something that they're not looking for. I like to do like little games in my emails, like just stuff. As long as it's relevant to your brand, you can have a lot of fun with it and surprise and delight and give them something really unexpected. I also love, and look, this one is not going to be for everyone. This is only if you can get away with it. But again, there's been veterinarians who get business doing things on TikTok. You never know what's going to work until, so you might say like, oh, my business is kind of serious, it's industrial, it's this, but you still can do something different and have a little bit of fun with it, no matter what business you are. And one way I like to do that is I like to incorporate pop culture, because that connects everyone. You know, everyone knows what's going on at the Super Bowl. Everyone knows what's going on with Taylor Swift right now. When you incorporate pop culture, it's like people are getting in on your joke, and they feel connected, and they like that. So that's a tool that I like to use sometimes. And lastly, I always ask myself, what would Beyonce do? Because Beyonce, you cannot look away from this bitch, okay? Whatever she does, she is just, you magnetize. I can't even stop looking at her right now. Like, look at this. She makes you pay attention. So how can you add that extra little bit of flair that says, I'm here, and you need to pay attention to me. And I think that's my last slide. So I wanted to give you guys a free web audit. Actually, the packets that you guys were sent out, it says free email audit. It's a free copy audit, whatever you want, whether it's an email sequence, whether it's a web page. I want to audit a free piece of copy for you guys, just to see how you're doing, connect with you. I adore this community. This community has changed my life. Like I said, it was a year ago since I started in this community, and even just connecting and having conversations with people helps me, so I would love to get to know you also on that level. So whatever piece of copy we'll go through, and I'll just tell you how you can improve it. That's my little gift to you. And for people who want to do a little bit of a deeper dive, I have a brand new workbook that I'm really excited to debut. I'm really excited about this because I think it's really good. But this is for people who want to start on copy, and you've either never written your own copy before, or you've written it and it hasn't been effective. I created this workbook that has a bunch of different exercises, DIY templates. You can work through it to build your own arsenal of branded, targeted copy. And so I'm really excited because it's new. I dropped the price down to $30, and you'll receive $5 back if you want to send me a testimonial, because social proof, right? Social proof. So, and you can talk to me if you have any questions about any of that, about the audit. I'm so glad you guys came, and let's get into some questions. Yes.
So I do a mix of ads, email marketing, and social media for my clients. And so back to understanding your target audience, I understand mine really well. How do you get a mix of your AIDA, your FOMO, social proof, scarcity, authority, and curiosity? How do you dictate a good mix of that? Do you have a formula, or do you just kind of see what resonates best with your people?
Yeah, I definitely seeing what resonates, absolutely, and that's why testing comes into play. I wouldn't mix so many emotions. I don't know if you're talking about like a campaign. Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say if you're doing one email, I would focus on one emotion per email. But yeah, it's just seeing what works, and also just kind of what applies, because not every industry is gonna need to use every one of those psychological triggers. But again, it's about seeing what works. Yeah, basically. I'll go Kyra, and then.
Quick question. When you were talking about SEO blogging, right, and you had stated that one part that's highly effective is lists. In regards to blogs, I think of it more of in what you kind of said in regards to having pictures, bullet points. I get that, but what do you mean with lists?
You know how BuzzFeed does lists?
No.
Okay. Basically, here's the top 25 movies this year.
Oh, okay.
And so then basically movie one, you have a picture of the movie, and then it has a little blurb about the movie. So list. So yeah, for your industry, top 10 Zen ways to relax, or to something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So you touched a little bit on evergreen content that can be shared year over year, and I've noticed a lot of the creators that I follow have actually been falling very into their evergreen content recently. Have you found any angles on how to make sure that when you're writing something that it is going something that retains its shareability? Is comedy good once but doesn't have a long tail or anything like that?
It all depends. I mean, look at some comedy movies. Some of them have aged well, some of them have not. And I don't think that anyone could have predicted certain things. If I watched American Pie right now, so cringe. But back then, I don't think anyone would have thought some of those scenes. So I think that in some ways, it's definitely industry specific, right? But if you're a dentist and you're writing a blog on why brushing your teeth is important, that's something that'll be evergreen. That's never going to go away. So.
But if you write about a technique that's become popular in 2005 in the industry, it might
Right.
not get
Yeah, so it's definitely specific to what the blog topic is about. Because yeah, some of them will change. Fashion obviously is an industry that's always changing, but then there's some blogs that, again, that message is going to be there for years. So does that answer the question? Okay, cool. Yes.
I do a lot of email marketing with like an anecdote, like tell a story that gives value, teaches a lesson. And I have like a few fans who are like, I love your emails, but then most people tell me they're way too long. So how long is too long?
If people are telling you it's too long, it's too long. That's what I'll say. And see, that's a good way where you can, whatever you're putting in those emails, put it in a blog, and then put about half or a third of whatever those emails are, and just say, if you want to learn more, click here. So that way, you're not pissing off the people who are saying they're too long, and the people who do want to do the deep dive can do that deep dive. Plus, you're getting more SEO for it too. You're more bang for your buck. And I just want to say also, like, when I do a blog, I put it everywhere. Like, I put it on my Facebook, I put it on my LinkedIn, I put it, because not everyone is following you on every network. Not everyone is on your email list. So you have to almost get everything out on every channel that you use so that no one misses it. Because what I put on Facebook, my Instagram people might not see, and vice versa.
We have a retail store, so I never considered a blog as relevant to us, but our logo is Bolt, and blog could be pretty relevant, and we could do listicles and things like that. How often would something like that be relevant? Because I know people aren't probably subscribing to it. You're using it more for SEO and just stuff like that, right?
Yeah, are you saying how often should you post a blog?
Yeah, like bi-weekly, monthly?
Again, it's definitely up to you, and I think it's industry specific. Like, I see some people who write blogs every day, but those are maybe more corporations that have like a team of writers. It also depends on your resources as well. I personally don't put pressure on myself to be churning out a ton of blogs every week, even though I could be. I would like to be if I had someone who helped me, but I'm busy writing blogs for my clients. So anyway, my answer to that is just kind of, you have to find your own rhythm. I would.
Feel it needs to stay on an equal cadence? Like it has to be every 2 weeks, or can it vary?
I think eventually, yes. I think it's eventually good to train your audience, but while you're still kind of figuring that out, I wouldn't put pressure on yourself to be like, oh, okay, we have to do 2 blogs, because no one's paying attention. If you don't post your blog on Tuesday, no one's gonna be like, oh, it's Tuesday, like, where's that blog? You know, and that's what I try to tell myself when my anxiety creeps in and is like, gotta send that out. But yeah, find your rhythm, find your cadence, find, you know, again, you don't want to burn yourself out if you're writing your blogs yourself. You want to be focusing. So I would definitely say at least once a month. If you're trying to get something going, I wouldn't do any less than that. I would aim for maybe twice a month to start out, and just see how it goes from there. Anyone?
I'm just kind of curious. You know, the AI, of course, is like a big thing right now, and I know a lot of people say like AI is going to replace copywriters, and I'm just curious, like your thoughts on that. And
Fuck them. No, just kidding. I was hoping this question would come up. This question actually won me my only pod in season 7. So I am a fan of if you can't beat them, join them. And that's not to say that I'm just going to ChatGPT every day and be like, okay, write this for me, and then sitting back by the pool while I sip margaritas or whatever. No. It'll never replace, because it's not human. I, as a copywriter who have spent a lot of time on prompt engineering and a lot of time in ChatGPT, still cannot get it to give me consistent results, still cannot get it to sound like my voice, my human, my brand, my comedy. And that's just where it is today. I don't know, maybe it'll be different in 10 years, but from what I see, I can never get it to give that human voice, to give that connection. Now, what it's great for is a lot of other things. When I'm building a blog on something I don't really know much about the subject matter, ChatGPT is great for giving me an outline. It's great for giving me topic ideas. I use it to transcribe and summarize sometimes meetings with clients. That helps me build content. So I think that it is a great tool for you guys to use, and I'm not gonna be one of those people that's like, hire me, don't use ChatGPT, but use it effectively. Do not just expect to type in, hey, can you give me an email for this, and have this beautiful targeted email come out. Know that you're gonna have to do a lot of manipulation, a lot of changing. It's like building out it's the skeleton, and you gotta put the meat on it, essentially. It's going to be different for every email platform, but you should be able to know you should be able to be getting those statistics because they're really important. So I would just go on YouTube and Google a video of how to turn those features on. And I can talk more with you later if you want to show me, like on your computer. I'm usually pretty good with that stuff. I have used it in the past. I haven't used it in a while because I use Zoho campaigns right now for myself. Zoho does emails. Yeah, I use them for my CRM. Yeah, MailChimp is really good with like results and. That sounds like some kind of email domain issue. Yes, because I remember when I hooked up my email and we're kind of bordering on techie stuff that I have no business speaking about. I do remember having to like set up something so that my email wouldn't go to spam. So that might be a complete tech issue.